welcome to Star Wars Newsnet Live. I'm sorry. I am your host, Paul Herman. I am joined by my good buddy, Brian, the Bearded Wonder. What's up, y'all?
Ready to talk some Star Wars, man?
Yeah. It's this is like the second, like I feel like I'm actually getting consistency here because I've just like the second my second time in my every other week duties. Yeah, exactly. So for those who don't know, if you guys realize I'm moving, so like life is pretty insane right now for me. But thank you for joining us. Please like the video. Please obviously comment, but better than comment, I want you all to stop wasting time and just get in the live chat and start joining us in the conversation, because I don't want to carry the conversation with Brian. No offense, Brian, I love you, but I want you all to get in the comment section. Live chat. Get in the live chat. I want you to ask. We're going to ask you questions. We're going to go off your comments and give us our own opinions, because I'm opinionated and I talk a lot. What can I say? So anyway, Brian, before we get started, is there anything Star Wars related you wanted to just throw it out there really quick?
Honestly, the stuff I want to talk about is what we're already talking about tonight. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah. All right. And when I saw on the Discord that this is what we were talking about tonight, I was like, yes.
I know. I'm a little afraid. I'll be honest. I'm a little afraid. So, So anyway, people who are watching live, appreciate you guys. If you guys are watching live on any other different thing, get on somewhere where we can get on a live chat and get with us and join the conversation. Because again, we want you guys to be part of the conversation and get your views. Because today we're going to be talking about the film slate, kind of like the current. I know there's lots of. I don't want to dive too deep necessarily into like the canon stuff. We're going to talk a little bit of what it implies and maybe speculate a little bit. But just talk about how we're feeling about things and what we'd like to see. No, I don't want, and I've already told Brian, no Rey Skywalker hatred. Like, let's just talk about what we would like to see, not what we wanted to see happen.
I would like to see Rey Palpatine really lead a great Jedi Order movie.
That was uncalled for. Anyway, but we're going to talk about what we like to see, kind of what we're thinking it could be, and this, this stuff like that. We'll get to that in a second. But I have a couple things I want to throw out there because it bears talking about. Okay, and again, please join the live chat. Brian, I'm going to let you handle this, man. So you get the live chat while I go spew my thing here. Okay. So a couple weeks ago, which I'm really embarrassed to say, on May 4th, they released a number of different new shows for Star Wars. Obviously, we got Star Wars Visions, which I've only watched like a quarter of, which are all awesome. But I've just been so busy. I haven't had a chance to watch them all, but I love them all so far. And this little show called Jedi Young Adventures. Have you watched anything of Jedi Young Adventures? Young Adventures.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it. Honestly, it's something that I'm just putting on to fall asleep to at night, really, to be completely honest. But from what I've seen of it so far, it's really got the what did Nate was on with me last week? I think it was Nate was on with me last week, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember who it was, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Last week I've slept since then. So I remember who was on. I'm so sorry if you're watching and it was you last week. I'm so sorry.
Bearded Wonder. Come on.
I know, man. Somebody compared it to the young Spidey stuff, Spidey and Friends.
That's exactly what it is.
And it's dead on. That's the perfect comparison for this show. It's Star Wars, Spidey and Friends. It's not, I mean, it's a good show for, kids. I've got a toddler son who is going to be 4 on Halloween. This is the exact perfect thing for his age group, and he's already sat and watched some of it. He's seen it while we were kind of skimming through through Disney Plus, and he pointed at it, and he's watched some of it and he's really enjoyed it. So, yeah, it is a little childish, but it's meant to be childish. It's we are not the target. The target.
You know what I mean? Listen. Yeah. Context is key to whatever you're watching.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just like how some people I've heard so many. For me, I like the prequel trilogy, but I grew to love it more without kids, but I've heard a ton of people who did not like the prequel trilogy before truly understood it once they had kids, right? So, I mean, it just really is context. It's context. Now, I want to bring this up because I'm going to throw something pretty controversial out there. And it may ruffle
you?
Yeah, me never. So I have a young daughter, like a toddler daughter, like you, like or child like you, and she loves Star Wars. And I was really excited to watch this. And for those who don't know or who have watched, like Brian, you know this already, it is definitely 100% the same vein of the Spider-Man stuff. Now, the difference is that and this is, I'll give Kathleen Kennedy some credit because I might bash her a little bit later on, but I'm gonna give her some credit. Just a little tease out there.
Shots are gonna get fired.
Well, they're gonna get fired. So here's the thing, I do credit her for saying like let's make everything matter to an extent. There's always giving a little bit wiggle room, but for the most part, these things all are contained into a greater canon, right? And I'll give her credit because the big advantage this has over, I think, for any other show, it's I think it's high quality. Like if you watch Muppet Babies now, the new Muppet Babies, or watch Spider-Man, it's in the same tier, which I think is solid kid stuff. It's not amazing, but it's solid. Where I would say this is better is that it takes its lore more seriously because it has to. And so when I watch it, I'm like, it's just enjoyable to kind of explore the new Star Wars universe, right? So I'm going to say this right now. I think that Jedi Young Adventures is one I'd watch this 1,000 times more than Star Wars Resistance any day of the week. I'm just gonna say it right now.
Is that the surprise you said?
That's a surprise. That's a surprise. Guys, I'm not joking. Like, listen, I understand it's kiddie, and Mr. Wilson, like it is childish. There's no, but I can tell you right now, so is this, to a detriment. And there was parts of Resistance that I thought were really cool, like legitimately. I love the premise of Resistance. I cannot stand like this guy. I always forgot his name. He annoys the crap out of me. And just
are you using your cursor?
Yeah,
because we can't see that.
I know. What's his name? The guy in the green jacket. What's his name? Cal. What is it?
Cal Kazuto.
Yeah, whatever his name is.
Cal Kazuto.
But listen, I like the daughter of the shipyard guy. I liked obviously BB-8 when he was there. I love all the ship designs. All it's fantastic. But I gotta tell you, man, like I'm just not into it. And Jedi Young Adventures is definitely like aimed at a way younger audience, but I am way more entertained. Like there were parts of Resistance where it was a slog to get through. At least with Jedi Young Adventures, they're so short that like they're done in like 8 minutes. So like before you start getting like, okay, this is Dragon, it just kicks on to the next thing. And again, they explore so many different parts of the universe. It's like it's just more lore they're laying down or they're bringing out onto. So to be honest, this is not a bad show. I think it's fine. I mean, I actually really enjoy it. I love like the kids learning lightsabers. Think of it this way. This is like the most like Jedi stuff training we've gotten on screen maybe ever. If you think about it. I mean, besides, I guess Clone Wars, yes. But even Clone Wars, like they're just battling. They're just fighting all the time. They weren't really learning a whole bunch. At least in these 7 episodes, or is it 6? They're actually learning a lot. So this is expanding way more of the Jedi lore than besides anything in Clone Wars or after Clone Wars, I would say, and Rebels. But yeah, I think this is actually a pretty good show, to be quite honest. I mean, it's not been bad, and I gotta tell you too, all hail my Lord and Savior Nubs. Nubs is just fantastic. Yeah, Mr. Wilson, exactly. Like it's a fun little show, and and this really is bringing it to the new generation. My daughter likes it. She doesn't love it as much as I want her to be honest, but she likes it. She loves Nubs. Oh my god! But she's 3 years old. She just turned 3. She's not going to stay focused for very long. But she loves her.
There's going to be a crap load of toys.
I'm already buying them, dude.
Yeah,
for myself, not even for my daughter. For me.
Yeah. Those like little Fisher Price things, the little
so cool, dude.
Yeah, I guarantee it. There can be a crap load of them.
I'm gonna buy 3 of Nubs.
Disney's all about the merchandising, so
come on, yeah, they all want retirement funds. Yeah, I'll give it to them. They keep making good stuff like this.
They're all about the merchandising, man. Like I guarantee when Rian Johnson came up with Porgs, I think Bob Iger hugged him and was like, "Oh,"
and then Bob Iger hated him afterwards.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a whole different story. No, it's a fun little show. And I definitely think that if you're like, you're on the fence, Yeah, dude, exactly. Like that's it's a fun little show. Like it's not bad. If you guys can watch Resistance, if you push yourself to watch Resistance, there's no way that you're gonna dislike, in my opinion, this more because it's in the same level as far as I'm concerned.
I just look at this show as a good entry point for younger kids.
Yeah,
That's all it is. And as far as I'm concerned, and like I said, the targeted audience is not you and I. It's not anybody who's in the chat right now. It's the younglings that we've spawned off. That's who this show is for. And so I think it's great for them, and I'm glad that they're actually doing some content that's geared more towards that age group for that age group. I'm really really glad that they are. So now we just need to get them to swing the other way and do some like R-rated Star Wars stuff for us.
Stop it. Don't start that R-rated crap. Don't even go there. Come on. We will, that'll be a topic for another day.
Star Wars horror, man. We want it.
Horror. You can have a horror with PG-13.
Yeah, but it's not good horror.
Have you heard have you ever watched The Sixth Sense? I mean, come on. Yeah. Enough said. Ha! Broke you. Gotcha. All right, really quick. I just want to say, Mr. Wilson, you're absolutely right. And people in the chat, let me know where really quickly on a scale of I'll call it the pitchfork scale. If you guys know a pitchfork, again, it could be a 5.4, 5.9, 6.0, whatever. Okay, pitchfork scale rating. What do you all give Star Wars Resistance? Because okay,
you were getting ready to say, what do you give the Young Jedi Adventures?
I'll do that too. We'll do that too. But I want to know what really. I mean, but here's the thing: Jedi Adventures only been out a couple weeks. You got to let that marinate a little bit, right? In my opinion. So we'll just stick with Resistance. Oh God, listen, nothing's better than the Ewok films, Andrew. You don't even start with me. Don't even try to joke with me about that. I'll fight anyone. All right, people in the chat. Tell me what you think. I love the Ewok films too. I think they're fantastic. People in the chat, tell me. And if you're not watching live, you can comment too. Give me your number pitchfork scale of Star Wars Resistance. I'm gonna give this probably a 6.0. I'll give it a 6.0.
Ooh, you're being generous.
I am being generous. I am being very generous. Brian, what'd you give it?
I'm gonna give it like a 3.5. Like
3.5?
Like a 3.5. Yeah, because like it was supposed to be 3 seasons, and because of all the backlash and everything, it got cut down to 2.
Yeah.
I think had it gotten its 3rd season, it would have grown in. I think it would have completed the story. Of course, I also said the same thing about the sequel films. Everybody was bashing Last Jedi, and I was
let's just
and I was wrong. So, but I feel like had this gotten its 3rd season, it would have really linked up with, I guess Last Jedi is where it was headed towards, and I think it would have been something for the books. But yeah, those 2 seasons we got, man, it's hard. Yeah, it was hard to get through.
But I mean, I think there's lots of high points with Resistance, but for the most part, it's just like Mr. Wilson said earlier. It's tough to get through, and that's the one thing I'm gonna give a lot of credit to. Star Wars Young Adventures, Jedi Young Adventures. It is a pretty easy show to get through because it's so short and they're pretty fun, like just fun, like silly little stories. And I don't know, like I just like seeing like I like Liz. I like all the characters. They're all great. Like seriously, they're all great kids. Even the bad guys, the pirate kids. I already deleted my picture, but I made it. I put a side-by-side comparison of Lord Helmet from Spaceballs, and I said same energy because it's true. Like they're the same energy. So anyway, Jedi Young Adventures, not bad. It's for kids, but yeah, it's not bad. But yeah, Resistance, I think is. Yeah, it's not the greatest. So, anyways, well, you gave it a 3. I was gonna say, would you give it a 3.5? All right. So that was just a kind of quick little thing, and we'll do a full breakdown of Visions when I eventually have time to really break it down because I just don't have time right now. Life is insane. Today we're gonna talk about our main topic, which is the film slate of Star Wars future. Now. I was gone.
Bring on 66% of these movies.
What's that?
Bring on 66% of these movies. Bring on 2 of them.
Don't listen.
I'll take 2.
Brian, right now, I need you to just
for all seriousness. You can't talk about a Rey movie without me going off about Rey.
No.
Can't do it.
Just stop. Don't just stop with the Rey stuff, please, for my sake, please. All right. So we're gonna talk about these movies, and which I do. I like what you did here a lot. Honestly, this looks great. We're gonna talk about this. What we're gonna expect from these films. About and honestly, and I'm not even trying to be facetious or sarcastic or whatever. I'm being 100% serious when I say this, but what is the likelihood of getting these movies? And I think that's a valid question at this point. I mean, so I guess we'll kind of start off with Dawn of the Jedi.
Okay.
Because it's first in the canon, you could say.
Yeah.
This one is.
This is gonna happen.
I don't know, man, and I have my reasons, but before I get into that, I'll be honest, I don't know what to think about this. I'm not like no, I'm not like yeah. It's like I don't know. I don't know if showing the origin of the Jedi is the good idea.
The movie is gonna happen. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's going to be good. I want it to be good. I want it to be the greatest Star Wars movie ever. I want every movie to be the greatest Star Wars movie ever. But this one's going to happen. Okay. James Mangold is on a streak right now. The Indiana Jones 5 premiere just happened. The movie got a 5-minute standing ovation. The reviews for it are out of the just to
lukewarm.
Lukewarm. What I saw was to the moon, man.
I saw lukewarm by Variety, but that's Variety, so who knows?
Yeah, gives a crap about that rag piece. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. Wow. I'm joking, Variety. I'm kidding. But no, I've heard really good things about the movie so far, and it's easy to be good when you're going, when you're following Crystal Skull. But
I think Crystal Skull is not bad.
But I think this is going to be a win for James Mangold with Disney, and I think they're definitely going to put him on this Star Wars project next. I think I bet he's already working on it. So I guarantee. This movie's gonna
time out. This is where I would say I don't know if it really is going to work out, because here's the thing. Don't you know he's also tapped and to write direct another movie called Swamp Thing?
Yeah,
that he's also writing right now.
Think of how much further down the line that is compared to DC hasn't even started, but DC hasn't even started. They're still working on the first movie in that slate. They've still got a long ways to go until they have to get Swamp Thing.
This movie is not going to happen for a long time either. Like, and that's
this movie's going to happen quicker than you think it's going to.
Well, my point is this though, like when they announce the Dawn of the Jedi, what does he announce the same day? I'm writing and directing Swamp Thing. So
but that's 6 or 7 years down the line.
It's not.
I guarantee it is.
No, bro. They've already announced it. They already announced.
They have. You're right. How far out?
Tell me.
They're already announcing Phase 6 movies from Marvel.
Hold on. We already know what the next 2 movies are.
The next 2 what? The next DC movies?
Yeah, it's obviously the Rey movie, and then you have the Dave Filoni movie.
Oh, the Star Wars movie. I'm talking about Swamp Thing is way down the line for DC.
But no. That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, think about that. That's still 5 years away.
I think the Rey movie will be the next one if it happens. But I think
it's gonna happen. So it's gonna be
the Filoni movie. No, the Filoni movie will be the last of the 3 to happen.
I don't see
it will.
So you think they're gonna start filming that movie in in 2 years? I'll have a script written in 2 years.
We got another season of Mando to get out. Who knows what other shows they're going to drop? That we still have to get Skeleton Crew out. It's probably going to run for 2 seasons.
Oh man, we got some comments here. We got some comments. Hold on, let's keep going.
But yeah, I think the Filoni movie will be the last of the 3 to happen.
I don't think so.
I bet it will.
All right, people in the chat, what do you think? Do you think that Swamp Thing comes out first or Dawn of the Jedi comes out first? I'm being serious. This isn't bad.
I'm telling you right now, Dawn of the Jedi.
Well, but here's the thing. The problem is that with the track record that we've gotten with Star Wars, it's peculiar that he announces, "Oh, by the way, I'm doing Swamp Thing too. I'm running and directing that as well."
We've got with DC also. So I mean, the track record with DC
is better with DC than it is with Star Wars, homie. I hate to say it.
I don't see Star Wars rebooting their entire universe because the last 5 or 6 movies sucked. I don't see that.
But beside the point though. The point is DC isn't making movies based on like rebooting the universes or whatever, where Star Wars actually has tried to start making movies and it hasn't worked. It's different.
That. But the DC thing is so far down the line still. They haven't even cast their Superman yet, which is going to be the first movie in that slate. And if they do 2 movies a year and Swamp Thing is going to be one of the last movies in that slate that James Gunn announced, it's still
But here's the thing,
6 years
homie.
off.
They never said when it's going to be. Here's the thing.
He
If
did
they
say
announce
he
a
was last thing in that
Brian, if they announce a writer and a director, he's doing the same thing, and they announce it, whether it happens or not is beside the point. The point of announcing it is that it's coming sooner than later.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, but here's the other thing too. It's not up to James Mangold when this movie gets made. It's up to Disney. And if Disney says, "Hey,
yes, you're right.
We're making this movie. Sorry, you're either going to have to put things on hold or you're no longer attached to the film."
And you know what?
He's going to say, "You're absolutely right. I want to do Star Wars." Every director wants to do Star Wars.
Listen, Brian,
he's going to do the Star Wars.
I think honestly, if I'm being real, I'm just being real here. I think he doesn't know which one's going to happen first, and that's why he took both jobs.
I don't disagree with you, but I think it's going to be Dawn of the Jedi first.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. There's a couple different caveats I'll say. Brian, I want to take over the chat. And I'll give him a little spiel here. Thank you. The thing is with Dawn of the Jedi is, I don't know. I'm only speculating. This is 100% my own speculation, because I don't know how truthful it is when he's like, I came up with an idea and I sold it to Kathleen Kennedy. It's like, because a couple different things here. I also think that look at if I call them the double Ds, but the guys from Game of Thrones, right? Mm-hmm. Benioff and Weiss. Benioff and Weiss were doing a movie just like this. It was the start of the Jedi Order, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were working on that. They were in pre-production for not a long time, but they were involved into the production. And then the whole backlash of Game of Thrones, and they took the Netflix deal and they bailed. And that kind of put Disney and Kathleen Kennedy and freaking Bob Iger holding the bag. Because if you all remember here, that Bob Iger, when he said the first thing he said about new movies was the Game of Thrones guys. That's the first thing he said. That's the first one that's coming out. That was out of his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So you know that either he wanted that to happen,
or their project before Star Wars hit and it had such a backlash.
Yeah,
which was before that.
Yeah, no, I know. That's what I'm saying. So my point is this: is like they had that story. They had a story by them, and the whole concept probably ends up a bunch of pre-production art and things like that already established. A story kind of. What's that?
Probably an outline. They probably had an outline.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is that I could easily see James Mangold being like, "Oh yeah, I do that," and then they already have it already fleshed out, and they just have to go, plug it in. That seems like more of a probable thing to me, because his story idea that he said he pitched, which again, I like James Mangold. I'm just saying it's weird because he pitched this. It's exactly this, almost the same thing as far as what we know of what Benioff and Weiss were doing. So is it the same? I kind of think it's probably somewhere in the middle. He probably was told oh, they're doing that, I can do something like that. Well, how about this? And then whatever. And they probably use a lot of the same pre-production art. They can already kind of piggyback. But
everything
off
you just said completely backs up what I said.
But
Brian,
going to happen. I said that to your point.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's the only way I could see that. That's the only way I could see that happening. If it's a complete refresh, like I'm starting from 100% scratch, I'm not doing anything they did, whatever, then I think you're dead in the water, to be quite honest. So that's just because I could say right now, before we even knew about our dearest Dawn of the Jedi Star Wars movie was announced. Do you know what Mangold tweeted out weeks before?
I don't
it was a picture of Swamp Thing when James Gunn was announced.
That's fine. He can announce that stuff. How long ago did The Rock announce Black Adam? Black Adam was cast. No, The Rock was cast as Black Adam longer than Robert Downey Jr. was cast as Iron Man. Okay, and look at how long it took.
Hold on. He was first of all, Black Adam was cast in 2011, 12.
No,
so
Rock was talking about doing Black Adam back in 2007.
No, he talked about he wanted to play it, but he didn't say. But he wasn't signed on. My point is, Mangold tweeted that thing about Swamp Thing around the whole James Gunn thing, and was announced weeks later.
And Ryan Johnson also started tweeting out about a trilogy he was going to make, and that never happened.
But dude,
Just because, like you said earlier, he doesn't know which one's going to happen first.
Brian,
he has no idea.
Look, I know he doesn't know, but what I'm saying is, listen. DC has a better track record than Star Wars right now. It just does.
It does.
It does.
No.
How many movies has Star Wars put in the last 5 years?
I don't think it does.
How many?
No.
How many?
No.
How many?
Yeah, but you know what? No movie in the same universe is better than 7 movies and having to reboot it after them. Because
doesn't matter. I'm not talking about that.
How many new TV shows has DC announced? How many new TV shows has DC done?
If they rebooted it, I'm just saying, how many movies have they released?
How many TV shows has DC done?
Have you seen the CW? Have you seen Peacemaker?
New shows.
Yeah, it's like a million shows.
Okay.
Come on.
Yeah, I've seen Peacemaker. Wasn't a fan.
Oh, I love Peacemaker.
No, I thought that was crap.
Oh, you're out of control.
Yeah,
so anyway, I said all that to say about to support your argument. I could see it happen sooner if that happens. If that was the case. And the reason why I tend to think that that's possible is that he does do some not shady things, but Mangold, do you remember back in the day when Solo came out and all of a sudden you had a Hollywood Reporter article about a Boba Fett movie that Mangold was attached to?
Oh, that wasn't Mangold. That was Josh Trank.
No. Go back. Like, cause that Mangold.
Yeah,
do you know why Mangold was doing Indy in the first place?
I'm not familiar with that.
Because he was already talking with Lucasfilm about Boba Fett. I don't know where I saw this, but basically people were alluding to the fact that Mangold leaked the Boba Fett stuff to THR the weekend that Solo came out because they were afraid they weren't be able to make their movies. So he threw that out there to try to create interest for the fans, and it just didn't do anything. So, but that was that's what pretty much what came out was like all of a sudden out of nowhere, Mangold was attached to do Boba Fett, and then when Solo tanked, and they released that news that weekend and tried to generate buzz, didn't work obviously, but he stuck around. I remember it vividly. And
you gotta keep this in mind too with the DC thing. We don't even know DC is going to last long enough to get to those movies.
You're right.
The first few movies could come out, and we don't
know what's going to happen with Dawn of the Jedi. I mean, we for all we know, like
Dawn of the Jedi happening way before Swamp
Thing. You might be right, but I can tell you this right now: James Gunn is. I love James Gunn. I think he's a freaking creative genius in a lot of ways, and which made Peacemaker, by the way. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know that. But
Kathleen Kennedy made Resistance, so yeah. So George Lucas made episode 2.
I'm just gonna say this.
Why is it Disney made
I trust James Gunn. Let's assume that everything's like they're successful enough to keep pursuing things.
Yeah,
I'm confident in James Gunn enough to like let things go. And the one thing he did say, James Gunn did say, I'm not making something unless it's ready to go. So they're not announced. That's why they haven't announced it yet, because he wants to wait for things to be completed. But like I also said, it is not by accident that he's working on both these projects at the same time, and he's probably waiting to see which one generates the fastest, which I still think will be Swamp Thing over that. That's just me. So really quick, we'll talk a few more seconds about Dawn of the Jedi. What do you want to see out of this movie?
Do what? You're kind of cutting out. I didn't hear what you said.
Sorry. What do you want to see out of this movie? And people in the audience, tell me what you want to see out of Dawn of the Jedi.
Dawn of the Jedi, dude. There's an infinite amount of directions that movie could go. We know he said he wanted to do like a biblical epic, which sounds freaking awesome. And yeah, that's exactly what I think that's exactly what it needs to be. And I don't know what to expect out of it, to be honest. I don't think you're not going to see any lightsabers. I know that. That
is a mistake.
No,
that is a mistake.
There's not
that to happen. I hope you're wrong.
Yeah,
you're insane. There's no way. There's
no
effing way.
Because here's the thing. I think this is the discovery of the Force. Okay, this is the first. No, this is going to be because they're not just going to do a one-off movie and then just leave this time period completely behind. The Dawn of the Jedi era is not going to be one movie. There's going to be books around it. There's going to be shows. There's going to be cartoons. There's going to be comics. There's going to be more. There's going to be more than one movie. I guarantee it. This is going to be a whole new era that they're working on.
See, hold on. See this? He's got. I forgot about that with Timothy Chalamet.
The Bob Dylan
I
biopic.
forgot about that.
Yeah, I did too.
Oh, dude. You know what? I mean,
that puts a big
real.
monkey wrench in everything.
Well, not only that, but let's also be real too. Biopics that's not going to take as long as it's just not going to take as long as making a sci-fi science fiction or fantasy movie, right? So I mean, but Kyle brings up a great point nonetheless. I mean, that does but here's the thing, that buys him time, because he'll make his movie, right? But then what's going to happen is by the time he's done, he'll know which one he's doing next.
Yeah. By then, yeah.
So I mean, so this kind of puts a wrench in it a little bit, because
I didn't think about that at all.
So I guess maybe I'm right then, buddy.
But anyway, back to us about the lightsaber. I think you're going to be 2 or 3 movies in before you see the first lightsaber, which I'm cool with. I'm cool with it, because if it's the dawn of the Jedi, really, what are they doing? The Republic obviously hasn't been established yet. They're stuck on one planet, really. Where are they going to find kyber? Or just happen to be kyber crystals sitting around on the planet that they're on? You know what I mean? Right. I think it's going to end up being one of those things. It's going to be a deeper story, not just flashy lightsaber fights and stuff. I think it's going to be a deeper story about, like what he said, the discovery of the Force and what the Force means, and its creation, where it came from, and everything. I think that is I think that's the story we're going to get out of this one.
Yeah, and TW, yeah, you're totally on the money on this. And that's what I was saying earlier, is that he's already said, like, he's not making announcements for film, like Star Wars and Marvel have done. He's doing the smart way. If it's ready, it's going to come out. It's going to come out when it's ready.
That's what Lucasfilm's doing now too. Yeah.
And I think honestly, that's a smarter choice. Well, Lucasfilm's kind of doing that, because they put that movie right. That's a different story, but they're kind of doing that. They're kind of doing that. But I don't know, and I am fine with waiting too, Kyle. What I will say I don't agree with you about lightsabers, because I think I like your idea to an extent. The problem is if you assume that you're going to get sequels, that puts you behind the 8 ball. Because I was going to bring up ironically for you, Brian, I will bring up another DC movie that thought as you once did. A little movie called Green Lantern. You remember it?
No.
Yeah, exactly. Enough said. Because here's the problem. They did like the lamest villain, because they set up the
giant cloud of diarrhea floating around in space.
Oh, you did remember it. So
no, I remember that part. I remember that part.
But do you remember the badass villain, or his mentor that's supposed to be the real villain?
Oh, Sinestro. Yeah.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember the whole fear ring thing at the end of that movie.
All I gotta say is they messed up, because they should have led with Sinestro first, and it probably would have had a much more successful movie, because
trust me, the villain was not the problem with Green Lantern.
Well, to be honest, I think it was a big problem, because what's his name? Oh, I forget his name. Strong? Is it what's his name? I'm so bad. He was in Shazam as well.
Who?
The guy who played Sinestro, the actor.
Oh yeah, I know who.
He's fantastic. If they would have had him in the majority of the movie, and it's him versus, dude, it would have been amazing. So I just want to say that for record. So, but really, they set up the movie as a sequel, and they should have led with Sinestro, and I think it would have been a much better and more successful movie if they had done that. That we won't ever know, but that's the problem when you do that. When you assume you're going to get a sequel and you can't follow up with it, it's not good. So
if you do a 2-hour movie of Dawn of the Jedi, if you have lightsabers, you're gonna have to squeeze in what life is like before the discovery of the Force, and obviously it's going to center around one character who discovers this. What their life is like before. There's a threat that comes up. You have to establish the threat. I'm assuming it will be.
Can we write these threats down? I want to
Force.
I want to establish
learning how to build lightsabers. That's way too much you have to establish in one film as Dawn of the Jedi. So Dawn of the Jedi is going to end up being a trilogy. I'm just going to say it. I don't know. It's going to be years down the road before it's a trilogy, but it's going to be a trilogy.
We'll be like 50 years old, man.
I know.
And Mangle will be retired.
15 years away from 50.
I know, God. I'm like only 9 years away. So I listen, I wish I will never know if we'll still be doing this when this movie comes out, but I really want to write these things down, because there's no way there's gonna be one person. There's no way, bro. I love it. I love predicting because we're all going to be wrong probably. Yeah. So I mean, it's reality. Yeah. Why don't you update people really quick on that live stream?
So the live stream, we had to postpone that. There was a legality thing that I'm trying to figure out right now with the books. I was informed about the books that I wasn't able to give them away in exchange for monetary donations. So I'm doing some research into it, and I've had to postpone it for right now. But it is going to happen. I have no idea when yet at this point. So, but it is going to happen. I just keep an ear out. It'll end up happening eventually.
Awesome. So yeah, I differ. I'm like the exact opposite. Believe it or not, shock of the century. I'm the exact opposite of you. I think it's gonna be about a group of people. I think it's gonna be lightsabers will be involved. I'm not sure how much they'll be involved. I think you're definitely gonna get those in the first movie. But here's the thing. I just don't know how interesting it's going to be. But I'll say this, because when I look at when I think of Dawn of the Jedi era, I only think of this, which is just bonkers, weird, crazy stuff. I will say this. The one thing that he did say that I thought made me go, okay, he's got the right mindset. I mean, he's a great director. I'm not going to say he's not.
Oh yeah.
But he did say it's very biblical.
Yes.
Like he used the word biblical, which I thought was very interesting. Yes. So I thought that was cool. So
yeah.
We'll switch it over, and people, we'll keep going. We're getting a lot of comments. It's great. Keep them coming. Tell me what you guys think about Dawn of the Jedi. If you're on my side, you're on Brian's side, which Brian's side's obviously wrong. So really quickly, Kathleen Kennedy came on another interview, and I'm just like, please stop making interviews, Kathleen. She recently just said they wanted to make Star Wars more of an event.
Mm-hmm.
I'm paraphrasing, and I haven't, because I remember hearing it. I didn't read the whole quote. Sorry, I'm not that prepared. Life is crazy. Yeah. Brian, do you know what she basically said?
Yeah, she basically said that she was wanting to use the James Bond series as the model and kind of eventize the films again instead of doing them on a yearly basis. She even directly said she didn't want to have to be attached to release dates that they've already put out, that they've already
but they're doing that now with Rey's movie.
We know they haven't announced anything about the Rey movie yet.
There's a date. Well, there's a date that they have to be done. Like I'm not sure if it's official, but well, it's leaked. It's been leaked pretty much. Like Disney's like,
no, I don't think there's official date attached.
I disagree, but that's
because here's the thing. When we get to the Rey movie, I'm going to talk about it some, and it's not because of the Rey thing that you and I argue about.
Hey, I want you to promise me right now.
3 films, that one is the least likely to happen, and I'll explain why.
Well, okay. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts, but I want you to promise me one thing: no Rey bashing.
I told you, aside from the Rey thing that I disagree with.
I want the whole time we talk about this movie, I want this just for this one time. I want you to please not say anything negative back about the sequel trilogy and about Rey.
I promise nothing.
And you don't say yes, please.
I promise
for my sake.
I promise
for my sake. Stop. Just
no.
Please,
I promise
nothing negative about Rey for 5 minutes when you talk about this movie.
Anyway, no promise.
Moving on. I can mute you. Don't worry. I can mute you.
No problem.
Let's see here. Okay. So anyway, she talked about the events, events or whatever, and it just when I read these comments from her about we don't have any source material, we don't have this. I mean, which makes these comments. We didn't make an event. It's just like, man, I know what she's trying to say, but she's just not getting it. It's like, yes, Star Wars is not based upon a source material from George Lucas as far as he wrote it and it's just build off that. But when you have so many things that's gone before it that people love and has been proven to be solid or good or you could borrow from or whatever, and you exclude that and don't even include that as source material, especially when you look at it now when they're basically doing Heir of the Empire. It's like, it's just, what are you saying? That's back in the day. And then you say, we make Star Wars an event. Like, I don't know about what you guys were all remembering about Force Awakens, but mother effer, that was a mother effing event. I mean,
that's the point.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
That's the point, because how long did we go without a movie before that? So that's the point she's making.
Right.
is that it's going to be an event, because Star Wars, first and foremost, yes, we have but first and foremost, it's a film franchise. That's what it is. It is a film universe. It is a cinematic universe. Yes, we have novels and comics and TV shows and video games to supplement that, but the trunk of that tree are the films. And whenever you come up to a point where you have a new film coming out, that needs to be an event. That, you know, I mean, when you have to wait, because here's a good example. We got to a point, right, where we had 5 Star Wars movies in 5 years. And we got very spoiled with Star Wars movies, basically one a year. And there was even a 6-month period in there where we got 2 movies within 6 months of each other. We got Last Jedi and then Solo. And I think they were way too close together. I think they were way too close together. And that's coming from somebody who's, yes, give me all the Star Wars movies you can, but I think you would just come off of one. And now you're 6 months later, you're like, here we go again, and you didn't have time to build the hype up for it, and so I think putting a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years in between each movie now, not necessarily a bad thing. And releasing them when they're ready, yes, that is good news. That's what we wanted to hear from the get-go, instead of giving yourself deadlines, instead of putting a deadline out 6 years in advance and saying we're going to have a movie out by then, and then you have to have it out by then, and you just crunch it out as best you can. This is what they should have been doing from the get-go, instead of putting out a film slate. Because look at Marvel, right? Marvel's always putting like 10, 12 movie slate like out at a time, right?
They started that whole thing when they were. That's how they were successful, though, too.
That's true, and not so much with the last phase, and right now, but
that's debatable too, because Volume 3 has been huge. Shang-Chi,
have they made? Huge. Again, like Doctor Strange sucked, Thor 4 sucked.
Dude, Doctor Strange was amazing. And how much money did it make?
Because everybody thought it was going to be something that it wasn't.
Bro, listen, I love the movie. I'm telling you, I love the movie, and it made $800 million. So
anyway,
next,
making the films events, I think that's the way they need to go. Instead of, us sitting around every year going, oh, there's a new Star Wars movie coming in 6 months. It's like 18, 19 months from now, all of a sudden, hey, by the way, trailer for the Star Wars movie. And we're like, what? I think that'd be great.
No, you listen, I agree with what you're saying. I have no disagreements if you're shocked or not. But hear me out. What I don't like her saying is like, it's a no duh, because that's what Star Wars was. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's just, if she would have paraphrased it differently, if she would have said it differently, like, yeah, you know what, we need to go back to the way Star Wars was it special when it came out, because there was time, there was anticipation. If she would have said it like that, it would have been like, yeah, Kathleen gets it. It's like, we make it an event film. It's like, what?
Well, see, I get where she's coming from, because it's not just back then it was just movies. Now you've got movies, and you've got the new season of Mandalorian, you've got Ahsoka, you've got novels and comics and Jedi Survivor, coming out. So I get where she's coming from, now, yeah, you've got to, the films need to be events. I get where she's coming from. Cause she worded it a little differently, maybe, but
that's the problem though. It's the lack of it all stems back to me, a lack of understanding the material in general, and what it's just everything. I know everything makes sense to what you're saying, but there's been too many times before you just put your foot in your mouth, and it's just like, why are you saying it like this? It's like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't disagree with what.
Oh, no, I agree. Yeah.
So it's just frustrating. I know, like you mentioned about the Taika movie. We'll talk about that for a second. I'm just gonna say it right now. I think she's just out of good faith for Taika, she's just trying to be nice. Like, oh, it's still gonna happen. It's like, no, it's not gonna happen. I just don't think it's gonna happen.
The Taika movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that one, I think out of all 4 of them, that one is the least likely to happen at this point. And it's just because there's no news on it. And I get, she keeps saying it's coming. I promise you it's going to happen. We've got Taika Waititi doing a Star Wars movie. He's 2/3 of the way done. Like, how long has he been working on it though? And he's only 2/3 of the way done. Like, it's supposed to be, the script is supposed to, he wants to start shooting next year. Like, and you're only 2/3 of the way done with the script that you've been working on for 3. Like, it's just, You know, and
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I don't see that out of. I'm not saying it won't happen, but out of the 4, I see that being the least likely one to happen.
Yeah, yeah. It's really weird to see, and I like Taika because I love his
Yeah,
movies. I like it. Well, I didn't like Thor 4 to be
yeah,
honest.
ugh.
That was not a great movie. Ragnarok was incredible,
Oh
and
yeah,
um,
Jojo Rabbit was good.
I never saw Jojo Rabbit. I heard it's good,
It's
but I
good.
saw the other one, the Wilder People. Is that what it is? That's a great movie.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Hunt
yeah,
for the Wilder People. Is that what it
yeah,
was? Great movie. I just don't know. I just don't know if that's going to fit the aesthetic of Star Wars necessarily. I don't know. We'll
yeah.
see. I mean, if it happens, it
No, I
happens.
agree. Yeah,
But I feel like it's like Ryan Johnson's trilogy, where it's just like it's never going to happen. But
yeah.
it's the save face,
They keep
and
saying it, and they say they just say it less and less. You know, more
yeah.
space in between each time
Oh,
they
we
say it,
still
so it just
talking
kind of
me.
fades out. Yeah,
But I get it. I'm sure like there's somewhere, but like let's be real. The longer it goes, the less likely it's going to happen. And once Kathleen Kennedy leaves, eventually, well, I'm not saying it's going to be next week, but when she eventually leaves in a couple years or whatever, like that thing's dead. Like
yeah,
it's dead. So I mean, the longer it goes and doesn't get made, it ain't
yeah,
gonna happen. It's just
yeah,
not gonna, and so that's why I'm like, ain't gonna happen. And there's a
yeah.
reason why they keep saying like, oh yeah, we're gonna make it one day. It's like they don't want to admit like they're not. It's not gonna happen because they don't want to
Right.
give people fodder for YouTube videos. So and you know what I'm talking about. So
I know
and,
exactly what you're talking
yeah. So yeah, listen, I just wish Kathleen Kennedy would just understand what she's talking about sometimes. Just as far as like what she's saying, and we go, oh, maybe I shouldn't say it like this.
Just move
But
along. She just needs to
yeah,
move
yeah,
along.
exactly. Yeah,
Move
and
along.
listen, I like Kathleen Kennedy. So
This
now
isn't
I'm
the
not.
president of Lucasfilm you're looking for. Move along.
I would like a change into the guard just because at this point, I think it's time to get a fresh face.
I
That
agree.
you
I
know,
Yeah, I think that's another point. That's a whole nother conversation. But real
that is
quick,
on our
I think you're
podcast.
right. I think that's a great idea. You know, because she's been in charge of Lucasfilm since 2012. Now we're 11 years in, so definitely think there needs to be a changing of the guard every so often to kind of new, fresh. Yeah, I never even thought that's a great idea. I completely agree with
So
you.
and Mr. Wilson's on the money here. This has been widely reported, and I definitely think when there's smoke, there's fire. I think this makes a lot of sense because when Iger came in, he was like, "Listen, y'all, we need to make some money. You mean put a Star Wars movie out now?"
It's embarrassing,
So
you know, like it is. And
it, but you
I
know what
just
though? I'm
I
gonna
don't know if
give.
I believe this rumor though. I
I
don't know.
100%, dude. I
I don't
100% believe
know.
it. You think, yeah. Well, think about today. Okay, what did Disney Plus do? They took off a bunch of shows off their TV,
Yeah,
off their slate because they don't want to pay for royalties. And one of the shows they took off just came out 4 months ago.
yeah,
I mean, well, my point is this: is that they need money. They need money, yo. Like they want to make that Skrilla, you know.
yeah,
And listen, I get it. Like we don't. We talked about before. Like Kathleen Kennedy's saying now she's saying, well, we're only going to make it when it's ready.
right.
And there is, I think that's what she's doing now, but that wasn't the case until like literally the last couple of months.
Yeah,
And James Gunn, it feels like also he let off with that, like, hey, yo, this is what the standard is. Whereas Kathleen's been backpedaling this whole time.
yeah,
Again, I'm not trying to mess. Just being real here. This is what's happened. This is a reality.
yeah. But
So
the rumor thing, I don't know. I don't believe rumors that much anymore. I try not to.
this makes too much sense
Oh,
because
no, I'm not going to be surprised if this turns out to be true. I won't be surprised if it's true. But it's one of those that I'm taking with a huge grain of salt right now because how often have we heard rumors over the last 7 years? Oh, Kathleen Kennedy's head is on the chopping block. One more fuck up and she's gone. But it's just over and over and over and over and over. And it's
I don't know if I'd go that far. Like I do think he gave him a deadline of like stuff's gonna happen. I'm not saying he's gonna fire her, but like I bet he would like raise hell. Like let's be real. You don't want the CEO of Disney, your boss, to give you a deadline and not make it. We'll just leave it at that. Like doesn't mean you're if you don't make that deadline, that means either you're gonna get fired or you're probably not in good shape.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. So, and it's probably the last thing she wants to do is if she is planning on leaving at some point, is to go out on a bad note, even though we know it or not. Does that make sense? So I feel like there is probably some deadline in place of like, you need to get something done because let's be real. Star Wars movies we've been missing it for a long time. So, all right. So let's talk about the Rey movie. It's a good segue because it's coming out probably next. But Brian, you don't think it is? Now, again,
no, this one,
Rey bashing.
If this one happens, it'll be the next one. If it happens, this will be the next.
But why don't you think it might not happen?
Because you gotta
spit it out.
Look, I won't say anything negative about Rey because you already know where I stand with the whole Rey thing.
Yes, we know.
But you have to admit, whether you like Rey quote unquote Skywalker or not, you have to admit that was a very controversial move on Disney's part, on Star Wars part. That was very controversial. There was a lot of people that were really pissed off at that. You know, I mean, when we were sitting in the theater to see it, when she said Rey Skywalker, like half the people in the theater started booing and screaming, like, "No, are you kidding me?"
I saw, dude. Okay, for the record, I saw this movie like 8 times in the theater. I never heard a boo once.
No, I only saw it once, and yes, it was loud. I was looking around like, oh crap, like, is this really about to happen? And there are people that do not. This is a point of contention among fans.
I don't think it is as much though. I really don't think it is.
I think it's more than you think it is.
I think it's how about this? I think it's in the middle.
But the fact that something that controversial, they're going back to it. I get why they're doing it, because Rey is a Disney era created character, and they want to push the characters that they created and that they developed and that were in, the films that they produced. I get it. They want to push their characters more than they do any other character in Star Wars. But this is a very controversial thing, and this may, if any of them are going to get made, Taika's movie to the side, if any of these 3 aren't going to get made, this one's not going to get made. The backlash that's going to end up coming, I think, if it does get made, it's going to end up being a one.
Okay, first of all, I think you're wrong, and just 100%. There's no way you're right, because why would people flip out when they bring her back and everyone flips out? I never saw hardly any negative stuff about her coming back at all.
There's a lot more than you think there is, man.
There's not. How about this? It's still. I mean, people are gonna be negative regardless, right? Like, I'm not saying they're not, but it's not even close to being the majority. There's no way. And listen, we both are in hardcore Star Wars circles, and I know there's people who don't like Rey Skywalker, and there's people who don't like the prequel trilogy. You know, like, but listen. But my point is, majority of people, I would say, like, are either like or are indifferent about Rey Skywalker. Maybe they're more indifferent. I'd maybe buy that, but that's not hating. And
do yourself a favor, go on YouTube. Type in Rise of Skywalker, Rise of Skywalker,
YouTube,
Rey
the voice
Skywalker.
of reason.
No, just go on there and look at how many.
But bro, that doesn't mean anything. That's one part.
That screaming and
those are. But hold on, but Brian, those are all. But Brian, those are all videos that are going to come up on the algorithm. Are going to show up that are like massively negative, because that's what drives YouTube. So of course you're going to get all negative views, man.
No, what other exposure do you have with Star Wars fans other than
Twitter, social media?
Yeah, and it's all over Twitter. It's all over Twitter. It's all over Facebook.
Dude, but I've seen people do both. But bro, there's people who love it.
There's way more backlash to it than you think there is.
I think people are more indifferent of it, because the thing is, you telegraphed the whole thing in the freaking title. People expected something like that.
They were expecting Ben Solo. They were expecting the redemption of Ben Solo, which we got, but they weren't expecting Rey.
Bro, they were not expecting that. They were not expecting. Bro, they were not.
But no, I think it was a very controversial thing, man. It really was.
It wasn't. It was not that controversial.
I guarantee it was.
Oh my god! Oh my god! People,
I promise you, it was.
I can't. I don't know. I just don't think it wasn't controversial. Some people didn't like it for sure. I would never say it's controversial.
A lot of people didn't like it.
Yeah. yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just clickbait stuff, man. I mean, that's all it is. And I think, listen, I want to give you the respect you deserve, because you don't like it. That's fine. But like, I love it, and we're definitely the polar opposites. I definitely think it's more in the middle than what you think. And I don't think it's predominantly loved. I don't think it's predominantly hated. I think it's just more of indifference. And I think the problem is,
Green Rant's got stories on Daisy Ridley weighing on the controversy.
She
The
likes,
playlist. Daisy
dude.
Ridley talks controversial decision about Rey's origins. Daisy Ridley weighs in on controversial Rey Palpatine origins. Here, it's all over the place, man. You know, Star Wars writer defends controversial Rey decision in Rise of Skywalker. Why is Rey from Star Wars hated so much by some loyal Star Wars fans? Like, it's all over the place, man. It's
bro. There's a clickbait stuff though, man. Like that's
Star
not.
Wars book explains the most controversial part of Rise of Skywalker, Rey Palpatine. Like, that's from Inverse. There's Screen Crush has got a story.
But bro, these are made. These are made.
A Hollywood Reporter. Why?
Hey,
Star Wars
Brian. Have you ever realized why they put those titles in there in the first place?
Oh, so you're saying the Hollywood Reporter is clickbait? That's what you're saying.
What's give me the reporter. What
Hollywood Reporter, Rise of Skywalker and the Complicated Legacy of Star Wars. It says the film is sparking.
That wasn't anything near Rey Skywalker. Thank you.
No, it says the film is sparking controversy.
But it has nothing to do with Rey Skywalker.
Yes, it does.
Controversy. It says controversy.
Actually, yeah, it's talking about it right here.
Really? Wait. Listen, you're listen. My point is this: is that it's not predominantly hated. It's not predominantly loved. It's just, I think it's just indifferent. It's just reality, homie.
Here it is. So now we arrive at the most divisive element of the Rise of Skywalker. Rey is somebody, she's a Palpatine, the granddaughter of the Emperor Sheev Palpatine. And it keeps going on and talking about how she just takes the name Skywalker and how it is such a point of contention among fans.
It's not the most controversial. It's a point of contention. Yes. It's the most controversial. No. I would say bringing back. It's not the same thing.
That's exactly what that means.
A point of contention is not always controversial, Brian. It's not. Contention is not always controversial.
Yes, it is.
There could be contention. You can have contention and not be controversial. There could be tension, right?
No.
Listen, I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's loved, but you can't say it's just outright hated because I don't see it.
I'm not saying it's outright hated. I'm just saying there's more hate.
Everyone hates it. You just said that.
You can't have controversial with everybody hating it. So I'm saying it's controversial, which means you have two sides to it.
You never. Oh my god.
No, right. I'm telling you, there's two sides to it, man.
There is two.
That's what I'm saying. It's controversial.
Too, but you were saying like
controversial.
People hate it.
It's controversial. There's two sides. You just said there's two sides. There's two sides to it. It's controversial. So I don't know why they would go back to something that's controversial.
Listen. I'm just saying you can hate it all you want, but moving on from the movie, I just think that it is divisive. See, I would say Last Jedi is more divisive than this. I think Last Jedi caused way more controversy and way more uptick than Rey Skywalker ever has. They even come in the same stratosphere.
You go hand in hand at this point.
No, not even. I would never. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Andrew, exactly. Never fails with us. Never fails. It never fails. Yeah.
Controversy is disagreement. This is the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I am Rey Skywalker. Thank you. Thank you, sir. And every time you say this, I'm going to say it right back to you.
Right here, definition of controversy is disagreement, typically when prolonged, public, and heated. Disagreement.
Heated. It's
the controversy. Literally, the definition on dictionary.com is disagreement.
But yes. Disagreement. But hold on, people disagree. We get heated about it for sure. But the thing is, I would say more people get heated over Last Jedi and get pissed off about than Rey Skywalker. I see more things about Luke in Last Jedi than I ever have about Rey Skywalker.
No, you're not following the same page as I am.
Well, you're not following the same page as I am either. So there you go. So there you go. I mean, it's just like. Exactly. So I mean, it's just reality, man. It's a very.
The fact we're sitting here arguing about it shows that it's controversial. That's what I'm getting. Like the fact we're arguing about it's getting heated.
But Brian, it shows that me and you are arguing about it. We're not we're not the rule. We're not the rule though.
Why does anybody even care?
Because the thing is, I would say there's more people are in the middle. That's what I'm trying to say. There's more people in the middle than there are the me's and the you's. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. No. So, exactly. TLJ had way more controversy. Tross was the footnote. 100%.
Okay.
So, anyway, this movie, I don't think, whether you want to say about Rey Skywalker and, Darth Gila's, yes, she is Rey Skywalker. So I make that very clear. Is I've said this before in the show. I think it's 100% going to be a not palate cleanser, but I definitely think it could do a lot of wonders for Rey as a character.
I hope it does. It needs to.
Well, I don't know if it needs to, because see, we're bringing in all this thing, all this Rey stuff. I don't think it needs to, but I do think that it has there is such an opportunity here to really project Jedi going forward that is a fresh idea that I'm really excited they can go down. And I still don't even think at this, and I thought for a while, like maybe she is gonna be the main character, but I don't know if she's gonna be the main character still.
I don't think she is.
Yeah, I've started thinking that I don't think she is either, which I think is a good thing, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
Brian.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. So when I disagree with you, I'm bad. When I agree with you,
no, it's because your connotation. Come on, man.
No,
all right. Okay, Brian. You can play this game. We'll play this game. You're gonna get a 10 full, buddy. All right. Oh, we will. So Rey, I think this movie could just do a lot of good, and I just want to see the Jedi evolve, and I think that Rey being that character, Rey Skywalker, being that character, I think Rey Skywalker will be propelled, and I don't think you bring her back because people hate her. You bring her back because she's a very popular and well-known and like loved character. So yeah, I think that it's a good thing to bring someone like Rey Skywalker back into the film franchise, because I think she's only make the movie better. So yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. See, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
All right.
No point arguing with The Rock.
No. You're The Rock? Oh, you look like him. You get a beer. So anyway, I think that let's see here, we've got one last movie to talk about, and that's going to be
the one I'm ready to go for.
This one's weird because everyone says like it's movies like super far away, which seems like, is it her like 7 years? Is that this whole movie?
No, so the whole thing they're talking about with the 7-year thing is Kathleen Kennedy made the comment that this will be the culmination of 7 years of storytelling. And, everybody's like, oh, that means it's 7 years away. No, we're already how many years into Mandalorian? We're already 3 seasons in. So even if it is a 7-year buildup, that means we're only, 3 or 4 years away from it. So I don't think it's 7 years away. I think we're already in the middle of that buildup that she was talking about. So,
yeah, I don't know.
Because they're already getting the wheels rolling for this storyline. I mean, we're starting to see in the shows, even with Ahsoka coming out, how we're starting to get the ball rolling towards that direction, to where we're going to be getting this Heir to the Empire film. So we've got mentions of Thrawn and Mando. We've already got mentions of Thrawn in the last episode of Mando. We've got the trailer for Ahsoka that's going to have Thrawn all throughout it. We already know Thrawn's going to be the main baddie and Heir to the Empire. So we're getting the ball rolling with that film at this point. I don't think it's 7 years out, man. I think it's 3 or 4. I'm going to say 4 max.
I definitely think it's like probably 5-6 years out at least.
Okay.
I like the fact they're doing this weird adaptation of Heir to the Empire. I think it's really cool. I think it's very, again, taking back and adapting and twisting and making it what you want it to be, like with Heir to the Empire, that you may love the story, is smart. It's just really smart. And I think that it's going to be, if this is done well, this could be the future of franchise storytelling, I think, for years to come, because the whole idea of a movie being the culmination of a TV series has been talked about for eons. Back in the day, I'll never forget when the Dark Tower was being adapted. This is like before like 2009 or whatever. They talked about Harvey Bardem, Ron Howard. They were involved with HBO to do a TV series, and they were going to do like a TV series and have a movie in the interplay, kind of like what we're doing now. But people didn't, they didn't know if they wanted to do that. Like studios were still scared. And now you're getting this cross pollination between with the Mandalorian and now with like the Batman franchise, you have the whole Penguin TV series and then the Arkham Asylum. I think that's eventually coming out. So there's lots of interesting things here. If Star Wars can spit out the Mandalorian, Boba Fett, we've got Ahsoka series, we've got all this Skeleton Crew, all these TV series, and you get into like this film of Heir to the Empire adaptation that culminates everything, or whatever you want to call it.
I would even go as far as calling it an adaptation.
It's heavily inspired.
I think the only parts of that's gonna match up with this book are the facts that it's Thrawn as the main villain and it's called Heir to the Empire. I think that's basically where the similarities are going to end, to be completely honest. And the time period is pretty close. Give or take.
Yeah. When I say adaptation, I say Heir to the Empire, I mean it as a trilogy as a whole, not just of the book.
You're onto it. Yes.
I don't think it's a book. I mean it from like the trilogy standpoint, because it's not in the book. But let's be real, they're definitely taking a lot of different aspects of this already and bring it in there. And not just because they mentioned the name Heir to the Empire, because it's not the right to the book,
But the fact that you've got Thrawn in this, right? And you're calling it Heir to the Empire, it's same kind of time period. Yes, I definitely think the OT characters are going to make an appearance in this. They're not going to be the main characters.
They shouldn't be.
No, they shouldn't. They're not going to be the main characters. It just makes sense that they're going to be there. If there's this huge event for the New Republic where the remnant of the Empire has one final battle that we thought was the Battle of Jakku, but it's not, now it's this, then yes, he's running the Jedi Order. He's going to be there in the fight. General Leia Organa is going to come out. General Solo is going to come out of retirement. Lando's going to be there with Chewie and the droids. Mon Mothma, they're all going to be there. It's going to be, it's going to be the classics again, but they're not going to be the front and center of the film. But they're definitely going to be there. But this movie has a chance right now because, with how split the fandom can be on these movies and how opinionated everybody is, you've got people, all the new canon's crap. I'm a Legends guy. That's the true canon, blah, 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 whatever. This movie has the potential to get everybody back on the same page for at least one movie. It has the potential to do it. You're going to get, because think about how popular Mandalorian is. People who don't even watch Star Wars watch The Mandalorian, and I mean, everybody and their mother watches Mandalorian. And everybody knows who Baby Yoda is. They may not know him by Grogu, but everybody knows who Baby Yoda is, and so you're going to get the people, obviously all of us sweaty Star Wars fans are going to go see this movie. The same people who go see every Star Wars movie. We're going to go see this one. You're going to get your grandmother to go see this movie who watched Mandalorian a couple times around Thanksgiving, went, oh, that Baby Yoda, he's cute. Let's go see him in a movie. And you're going to get her to go to the movie theater with you. People who are canon fanatics or who watch Rebels and read the Thrawn novels, they're going to go see this movie so that they can see Thrawn. You're going to get people who are Legends fans who love Heir to the Empire who are going to go see this movie. This is a chance to bring everybody back together. I think this is the best shot we have at reuniting the fandom. Is this movie?
I disagree, because I in all seriousness, and I'm not trying to. I think I have come up with a new idea. We will never talk Rey again without we have a third person to be the middle person. And I'm not even joking. I think if we're ever gonna have a show, we're gonna have a mediator, 100%. So I love you, Brian. So, but
or we just don't talk about her ever again.
I don't want to do that either, because I want to talk about it, because I think it's healthy for us to talk about it, to be honest. It's just we both get fired up, defensive. Me included, obviously. So
I ain't defensive, I'm offensive. Let's do
anyway. But in all seriousness, I do think that and that's what I'm saying, back to my earlier point about Rey in that whole movie. I think that movie has a huge potential of uniting fandom. And this is why, not because of Rey necessarily, but I think that she could help a lot, because I think people do love Rey still, whether you like the Rey Skywalker thing or hate the Rey Skywalker thing. I think the majority of people like the character. They didn't always love which maybe Ryan or JJ's done with her in the beginning or middle or end. They still generally like her as a character, generally. And at least in my circles. And I think if you use that and you create these new Jedi and you do a good job of establishing this new order, because to me, Jedi in Star Wars go hand in hand. And I think that if you do the right thing with the Jedi in the future with Rey, then I think people will be will be like, okay, I forgive the sequel trilogy, whether you love it, hate it, or you hate The Last Jedi, or you hate Rey Skywalker, or whatever. I do think that there could be closure with that, with this movie, and that could help unite fandom. Because I think Mandalorian already done that. I would say the Mandalorian franchise and this whole Filoniverse, which I hate calling it that, by the way.
Yeah, I do too.
I whatever.
I hate that term.
But I will say this, that I do think that it's already helped like keep fandom together more than like, you know what I mean? I don't think it's brought us together necessarily, but it's held us together. Again, because it's been controversial, or not controversial. It's been much debated of a more of a mixed last season. It's not loved or hated. It's mixed. I would say, but still, people still enjoy it overall. They don't dislike the series, and that's keeping Star Wars, I think, together as a whole. Because if you didn't have that, it might be just mass hysteria out there. And I do think that if you do make a good Jedi movie, that's going to help bridge and help people forgive or move on from the sequel trilogy and accept Rey Skywalker into the future. And whereas I think this Heir to the Empire movie is going to be more of an ending, a culmination of like people's love, and let's be real, a lot of people's first like love of Star Wars.
I think
for a lot of people.
I think the Filoni movie could do the exact same thing you just said, because with bringing the OT with the original trilogy characters in, which we know they're going to be there. Filoni and Favreau have already said, you know, who's in play in the universe, who makes sense, what makes sense that these people will be here, who would it make sense to be here? It makes sense for them to be there, so they're going to be in this movie. You know, we've already shown Filoni likes putting Luke in the Mandalorian. You know, we've already seen that, so they're going to be there. And so I think for the people who hated the sequel films, who weren't satisfied with them because they didn't get to see the big three together again, you know, they didn't get to see Han, Luke, and Leia together on screen. You know, you got to see Luke and Leia, and you got to see Leia and Han, but you didn't get to see all three of them. I think seeing the classics come back again to fight Thrawn, I think that's going to be a big deal for a lot of people. And I think that would be, to me personally, as someone who's not a fan of the sequel films, that would go further in getting me to forgive the sequel films for what they are, more so than something that happens after the sequel films, because then at least I get to see my big three together again. I still get to see more stories, or at least one more story with Han, Luke, and Leia all fighting side by side again. You know, something that may feel classic, and something that may feel like that era of Star Wars again. For me personally, that would go a lot further than correcting course in the future and then making the Jedi something new. You know, at least this way, everybody will get the Luke Skywalker they wanted to see. If they didn't like him in the sequel films, they'll get to see a Luke Skywalker kicking ass and taking names in this, you know, just like he was in Mando and in Book of Boba Fett. You know, they'll get to see Han Solo again. They'll get to see Princess Leia again, Lando, Chewie, the Millennium Falcon. If you see the Star Destroyer Chimera with Thrawn on the bridge, and you've got the Chimera painted on the bottom of it, and you see the Millennium Falcon flying in to do battle against the Chimera, that's going to be a huge thing for Star Wars. You know, and you know, who was it earlier that made the comment about let me see, about where was it? I'll find it. About people were being upset about Air not being verbatim to the book, like if the movie's not verbatim. Somebody made a comment about fans of the books may not like the movie because it's not a shot for shot of the original novel. But I think the fact that you're getting Thrawn, because why does everybody love the Heir to the Empire trilogy so much? Thrawn, he's a compelling villain. He's a great villain. And you get to see that villain on screen, who, by the way, is almost, I mean, they literally took him from the book and put him in canon as is. They didn't change anything about his character, about his personality, about his skills, nothing. He is literally from the pages of Legends. So if they get to see that on screen, I think that'll be enough to pacify a lot of people.
Yeah, the problem is that the reason why I would think it'd be hard to unite fans is because there's a long time between now and then, and there's not going to be it's going to be more of an ending probably than like to keep things going. So where I would think something like it's more like starting from new or kind of like right in the beginning stages is, or at least kind of starting to establish itself finally.
Yeah.
It seems like that would be, if that's good, that would be bring more fans together because they can speculate and get on, come together on it. Whereas when you end something, you can all come in and go, oh, that was great, right? Cool. And then like it just you don't grow from that. You just kind of all agree, oh yeah, that was good. Like Rogue One, right? A lot of people, most people love Rogue One. I'd say 80% of people of Star Wars fans like Rogue One. Like it's cool, but that doesn't really unite fandom. We all agree it's great, but there's nothing really else to go off of. And a lot of people like Andor, but it's not building fandom together. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like something that's evergreen, like at this point where with like the race or an evergreen, but more of a starting point, if it hits like the Force Awakens hit, then you build off that, then people are like, all together, so that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I just don't think it's going to ultimately bring in a fan base and really start to heal it. I think that's
it'll never be 100%. There'll be people that hate it.
Of course. I mean, listen,
100%. But this film may not necessarily be the one to do it. I just think at this point it's got the best potential to do it. Is what I'm saying. It may end up being the Rey movie that you're talking about. It might. I hope it's good. I hope every Star Wars movie from here on out is the best Star Wars movie ever until the next one comes out. I hope that's the way it goes. That's the trajectory we want to see, right? We want to see them get better and better and better. So I'm hoping I hope it's the best Star Wars movie ever. I hope, if it does come out, in 2025, I hope in 2 or 3 years we're sitting here talking about how it's the greatest Star Wars movie ever.
Same. But yeah.
So
anyway, we'll wrap this up. And
God, yeah, we haven't we?
Well, we can go on forever, but I can't do that. It's too late. I'm too tired. I got too much going on. Great conversation. I definitely think we should have a mediator for Rey now on. And I'm not joking. I think it's just we get too passionate, we get too fired up, and
let's not talk about her at all until we do have a moderator.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and
hate flow through him.
And that's the thing about it sucks too, is like there is social media, YouTube especially, has given hate of platform to really go out and people to sink their teeth into.
So is Twitter.
I just said social media and then YouTube.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear you.
I didn't say
cut out. You've been kind of cutty outy like all night.
It's weird. I'm not sure. It might be my cord here. It's not the greatest. I might need to get a new mic. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of I think for people to grasp to, and I think we just gotta be accepting of of people's views and I kind of just roll with it. I think that's the biggest thing. It's hard to roll things, and I listen. I get it. Let's see here. I want to read this one. I think they've already confirmed it. Well, I mean, they said that the character's name, that the guy with the orange lightsaber, this dude.
Names, yeah, but I think don't know names. I think it'll be the canon version, kind of like Cassian Andor and Jyn Erso were the canon versions of Kyle Katarn and Jan Ors that stole the original Death Star plans. You know what I mean? Like along that line.
Yeah,
I did see a theory though that this is actually an evil clone of Anakin.
That'd be kind
and if you look it up, there's quite a bit that actually backs it up. I mean,
I'll be honest, like that's pretty nutty, and I'd love like if Star Wars got that crazy again, like I'd be all about it. That's I'm gonna say it real quick. That's why I like the Rise of Skywalker so much. It gets crazy. It's why I think it was the right idea. Maybe not necessarily, but it got crazy. I love that. But yeah, I think this would be interesting if it was the Kaboth, whatever the hell his name is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't pronounce anything. So I don't know. I could be down with that.
Balin and Shin, that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe Wilson came in clutch. That's it. Yep.
Yeah. If it'd be interesting. Ahsoka is something I can't wait for. I really can't wait for it. So anyway, Mr. Brian, why don't we wrap this up? And as we always do, we just arguing about Rey for forever. But at the same time, this is kind of, I do feel for us as a fandom to come, I think the guys that do have a passion that we do will eventually figure out our zen. I mean that too.
No,
I do feel
I'm
that
embracing my hate. My hate makes me powerful.
Do you listen to yourself right now?
What?
Are you listening to yourself right
I don't know.
now?
Did I say something?
So
Uh-oh.
I just want to say it does feel like I even though people will get mad, I do feel like the more we talk about stuff, the better it will get. So Mr. Brian, where can people find all your nifty little things going on?
Oh, you guys can find me on my non-existent Twitter page at Brian Miller 1138. I don't post anything on there. You guys don't have to follow me. I don't post anything on Twitter. I'm not a Twitter guy at all. I basically have one so I can say I have one. You guys can find me on my podcast, the Star Wars Canon Podcast. My co-host and I, Usuf Wally, he's from across the pond in Cairo, Egypt. We always talk about the newest news out of Star Wars universe, new canon. I think we're doing a villain bracket right now. He's really big on villains, and we're trying to figure out what villain is the coolest villain. I think we all know where that bracket's going to end up ending, but we're still going to go through it nonetheless. We answer a bunch of mailbag questions. So tune in for that. We have a lot of fun talking some Star Wars, and you guys can find me right here on Newsnet Live every Thursday night, as well as every Saturday on the weekly roundup, talking about all the biggest news stories from StarWarsNewsNet.com.
Right on. And you can find me at the at Twitter, at Twitter, Herman22 with 2 N's, aka P Thug. Please go to the Comic Binge YouTube channel and go subscribe there. I've got tons of new stuff we've been doing there. If you're a DC comic books fan, we were just now continuing our reviews of the new, or not new, I always say new 52. That's not correct. It's 52. And it's a playlist that you guys can go check out here. I'll show you this is the first episode. We just did the second episode just this last week. But right here, if you go to here to the comic binge playlist, go to the 52 binge. And this is basically what I've said. If you want to get more into D characters that aren't in the movie, you kind of want to get a crash course in the history or just to learn about the universe itself, this comic book series, 52, is, and this is coming from a Marvel zombie who I lived and breathed Marvel, and I knew DC a decent amount, not a lot. Learned so much in reading these comic books, and there's 52 comic books. It's great. Go check it out. We've reviewed a bunch already, and it's been a blast. And and then next week I take a break, but I'll give you a little sneak peek here on the Comic Binge for the next episode in the month. We're doing a Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Spider-Man Council episode with a review of 2099 Spider-Man Original Series. So lots of fun there. So anyway, yeah, great times. We'll be back in a couple weeks. I'm sure me and Brian will come up about something and argue about something at some point. So, but anyway,
you know what though? If we agreed on everything, what would we have to talk about?
Exactly. But and I say the differences bring us together, and there's nothing wrong with differences. But that's the thing, is like it's about understanding the perspective of the other person
from a certain point of view.
Exactly. And so, and yeah, exactly. People can come together and just kind of do their thing. You're never gonna get whether I'm talking about Star Wars, Marvel, or throwing a rock across the river. I'll argue and debate anything. So that's just how I am. So anyway, but anyway, I really appreciate you guys. Everyone, thanks for liking the video, subscribe. Thanks for joining the chat. Again, I love to hear everyone's opinions. It'd be great. Brian, why don't you take us out, my friend?
Until next time, guys, may the force be with you.